watching you all night. There's something in your eyes. Come on and dance with me. Okay, I've had One Direction stuck in my head all day, so that is a huge plane. Okay, I need to get started. Welcome or welcome back. If you're new, my name is Kristen and you've reached my little corner of the internet. Hi, hello. How are we doing today? I am starting to get used to this time change thing. The time changed in the United States while I was in Asia. Yeah, so I was in Asia for 3 weeks in November. I'm not going to stop talking about it. That trip was absolutely insane, but the time changed in the United States and I left the night the time was changed, like the clocks were being set back an hour. So I wasn't here for the first couple of weeks of the sun setting earlier and it being pitch black at 5 p.m. And it is currently 3:41 and I feel like it's 6 o'clock. Like, I don't know what happened. So that really, because I use natural, and you're going to see that because the lighting is getting so bad. I use natural lighting to film pretty much all of my YouTube videos. It is very rare when I use a ring light for my YouTube videos. So I need to film earlier in the day now, which is just slightly annoying, but that's fine. But it's not even 4 o'clock and it's golden hour right now. Like, ew, like who, like, no, it's just wrong. Anyway, we're here to talk about my November reads, all the books that I read in November. If you're excited, leave a comment down below that you're excited. But this is actually my worst reading month since January or February. I think either one of those 2 months I only read 5 books. November I read 5 books for that. Let's just start with the stats. So yeah, I read 5 books in November, which I am shocked, but now looking back at it, I'm not as shocked because I was on vacation and I thought I was going to read a lot. My boyfriend thought I was going to read a lot. And I didn't prioritize reading. Shocker. I was, traveling and looking at other things than, reading my books. I obviously did. I got a chance to read. Duh. Obviously I read books in November. But I only read 4 of those on vacation. Yeah, I read 4 books while actually being out of the country, and in 20 days that's not horrible, but like I literally thought I was gonna read more and I didn't. So I had an average rating this month of a 3.8, which I feel like is pretty on par for the rest of the year. And then I read 1 mystery and 4 romances. And then just a little bit of a spoiler into my like November TBR, like the books that I picked when I filmed my November TBR video. I picked 6 books and I read 3 of them. So the books I did not read were Arcana Academy, Rich People Problems, and Falling Like Leaves, which I'm actually kind of disappointed about that one. And when I got back, because there was 1 week left in November when I got back, I thought I was going to read that one. No, I prioritized another book, which I'm kind of sad about, which you will see, which will be the last book that I talk about in this video. But without any further ado, let me pull up my notes here so I actually remember what I read, because most of the time I don't. All right, starting off strong, the first book I read in November was Unsteady by Peyton Corin. I am so happy I read this. I saw Larry. She talked about this book and the other book that is after this book. It's a little interconnected like series, hockey romance series, and she loved these 2 books. I still haven't read the other one that comes after this, but obviously I started with the first one, Unsteady, and wow. I gave this a 4.25 out of 5. Very deserving for this book, to say the least. So it follows Reese and Sadie. Reese is the captain of the hockey team at Waterfell, and Sadie is a figure skater, and they meet on the ice while practicing, and Reese has a panic attack and Sadie is there to comfort him. Actually, the last couple sentences of the summary kind of actually wrap this up very nicely. Reese is desperate to feel anything. Sadie wants to stop feeling so much, but healing doesn't mix with secrets, and they're both skating on thin ice, which So true. So this is my first Peyton Corin book, and safe to say I am so excited for what else she has in store. I know there's a new book coming out in this little series. I don't know if it's this year or next year, but right before this book, I actually read The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls, and that is a nonfiction book, whereas this is fiction. But to say the least, there are so many parallels that happen between The Glass Castle and this book, especially between Sadie and Jeanette. If you don't know The Glass Castle, it is written by Jeanette Walls, and it is her story of her upbringing in a household where her parents were not fit to be parents, where she had to mature really quickly and become kind of the adult of the family, and they were constantly moving around. It was a crazy story, but I kind of saw a little bit of that in Sadie, because Sadie also has to mature really quickly because her mom, I think, left, and then the dad is like an alcoholic similar to Jeanette's dad, and which causes problems between her and her dad and her younger brothers as well, where she's trying to fight for custody for them because her dad is not fit to be a parent. So we kind of get a glimpse into Sadie's life and her story in here, and it is just so raw and emotional and heartbreaking to read about. And then we get to Reese, who is also struggling with his own battles as well. He has panic attacks and is now captain of the hockey team at university. But you can tell in this book how much Reese cares for Sadie and her well-being, and she wants him to prioritize herself over prioritizing Reese. And I don't know, this story was just so emotional and heartfelt, and there was slow burn in here, but there was a good amount of tension as well, and like flirtatious banter, and it became like this very nice, like raw emotional connection between our two main characters. Because when you first like read about their meeting, you're kind of like, oh, maybe it's a little bit insta-lovey, but it definitely isn't. When you read the rest of the book, it's not insta-lovey at all, which is something I really admired about this book, because sometimes a lot of hockey romances, and you know, not even limiting it to sports romance, just some romances in general are insta-lovey, and it just takes you out of the story so fast, and it's like, okay, you guys like each other by page 10, like what are the next 300 pages going to be about? And I think what makes this one of the top hockey romances that I've ever read, which is dramatic to say, but it's true, the hockey aspect, and even Sadie's like figure skating, is a very prominent plot point. It just adds this extra little bit of like tension and pressure to the plot, where you're like suddenly caring about what happens like during a hockey game or during Sadie's performance. Like you're invested in their respective sports. But yeah, overall a 4.25 with this book. I am so happy about it, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so if you do have KU, you can definitely download it and read it, but it is so good. I can't wait to read the next book in this series. All right, the next book that I read was on my November TBR. Hooray, let's all thank you. And it was for a book that was less than 300 pages, and I ended up picking The Fury by Alex Michaelides. Yeah. And like with most thrillers and mysteries, I gave this a 3.5. I really don't tend to give them higher than a 4-star, just because they are typically on the shorter side. They're pretty fast paced. There's like, you know, there's certain plot points that we need to hit, certain twists and turns that we need to get to. So it's just like straightforward to the point. And that's why I like them too, just because they are so fast paced and like evenly tempoed, that I feel like, okay, like I got what I wanted out of it. I'm going to put it down and probably never think about it ever again. But this story is told from the perspective of our narrator, Elliot, and it is how he invites some of his rich theater friends, I guess, to an island in Greece, and somebody gets murdered, and he is our narrator. Is he unreliable? He could be. And are there some twists and turns that I actually didn't predict? Yeah, there were, and I'm actually surprised by that and very happy about it. And you can really tell that it is like a very like theater kid dramatized type of story. Just, I mean, even based off the summary, it's like, but who am I? My name is Elliot Chase, and I'm going to tell you a story unlike any you've ever heard. So obviously that kind of dramatic aspect of like, you know, being like, this is going to be so insane, like you're not going to believe, like just taking it to the next level of like hyperbolic state, you know what I mean? And with having Elliot as our narrator, he kind of like contradicts himself sometimes, which makes not him, you, makes you, the reader. It makes you, the reader, kind of like question what you're reading, and like you're like, I don't know if I trust you all the way with like telling this story and how it's gonna go. So it kind of keeps you invested and curious and a little bit like hesitant about where the story is going. I actually kind of liked it for that aspect of like leaving me a little bit uneasy and like curious. So yeah, it was a good book overall. He wrote The Silent Patient too, right? Yeah, he wrote The Silent Patient, which I have never read, but I know people have like mixed reviews on it. I enjoyed this and the way that Alex wrote this book and the direction that he took it, because it's kind of like a Agatha Christie inspired kind of book, which is heavily mentioned in this. Elliot loves talking about Agatha Christie, and I love Agatha Christie, so yeah, 3.5 did what I needed it to do. And I don't know, maybe now I'm kind of getting back into like, because I put off like thrillers and mysteries for a while, and I feel like I need to get back into them because they actually are like quite fun to read. And you can like get through them in like a day or two. They're pretty fast, which is also an aspect I really like, because it feels like I got a book done. Like I read a book. It feels good. All right, the next book that I read, also on my November TBR, I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore, and I gave this a 3.75 out of 5. The prompt for this was a book that fits the current season. Obviously picked it at the end of October. Gonna read it in November. Fall vibes. You know what it is. And I actually want to shoot myself in the foot for this, but I am posting eventually a reading vlog with all of these books, so you can actually kind of get a glimpse into where I traveled and see what I did. But also it's a what I read on vacation reading vlog, and I hate that I'm posting it after I talk about these books and showing you their ratings. But now if you want like a more in-depth thought review of these books, then you can watch that reading vlog when it's posted. So yeah, also forgot to mention that. So sorry that this is going up before that reading vlog, but you'll get the in-depth video soon. And it's like a mini travel vlog, okay? Best of both worlds. So this book follows Jeannie, and she just moved to this small town. Sorry, I'm laughing because I obviously was with my boyfriend on our trip while I was reading this, and he was watching me read this book, and he was like on the plane looking over my shoulder like, what are you reading right now? Because the town is called Dream Harbor, and my boyfriend saw the name of the book, and he kept calling the town Pumpkin Town, so it's kind of funny. So I almost said that Jeannie is living in Pumpkin Town, because that was our joke like between my boyfriend and I, but it's not Pumpkin Town, it's Dream Harbor. So this follows Jeannie, and she has taken over her aunt's Pumpkin Spice Cafe in Dream Harbor. My goodness. And she needs a fresh start away from her dull desk corporate job, so she takes over her aunt's cafe. And our main character is a guy whose name I can't remember. Logan is a local farmer. That's what it says here. He's kind of like the Luke of Gossip Girl. That is the only way I'm going to explain this. So if you don't get that, I'm so sorry. Okay, fine. Luke is the grumpy not old. He's quite handsome. Luke is the grumpy like grocery store owner in Gossip Girl, and just not Gossip Girl, Gilmore Girls. I'm rewatching Gossip Girl right now, so that's why I have Gossip Girl in my head. Tangents. Gilmore Girls. I'm so sorry. In Gilmore Girls, Luke is a grumpy grocery or diner owner. My gosh, I can't even get character traits right. He is a diner owner, has a massive crush on Lorelai, and everybody knows it, but hates the like town gossip and everyone getting involved in each other's business. Logan in this book is the same guy. Like, could not get any closer, except he's a farmer instead of a diner owner. So we have a little bit of a grumpy sunshine aspect in here. Miscommunication trope beyond belief. Like, I cannot believe I think this is the most annoying I've been at with miscommunication, and usually I'm really not fazed by it. I'm like, oh, okay, like I let it slide, it's fine, it's whatever. But this, oh, it got to me. It really got to me. Like, the amount of assumptions that were made, and let's say it together, assuming makes an ass out of you and me. Okay? So let's just stop doing that and, like, you know, ask what we need to ask instead of making assumptions and getting everybody mad. Okay? Also, you can hate me if you want. I don't love romances told in the third person. This is told in the third person. I don't love them. I love first person with romances way better just because I feel like even more connected to the character. This, I eventually got used to it like 25% of the way through the book, and I like wasn't thinking about it anymore. A lot of the times it's kind of what deters me from picking up a romance book if it's told in the third person, but I'm still glad I read this. I heard the other books in the series are pretty good as well, so I'm looking forward to getting into more of them because some of the characters in here were kind of getting like teed up for their own books, so I'm not going to be surprised if we see some of them get their own books. But I really like the small town aspect in here too. It was so cute, and I really felt like a part of, I was about to say Pumpkin Town. It is not Pumpkin Town. Dream Harbor. It's when that, like, on TikTok, the pumpkin meme started going around too. That guy who just shouts pumpkin. So that's why we called it Pumpkin Town. Anyway, Dream Harbor. So cute. And I can't wait to keep going. I think that's what the series is called. Is it not called, like, the Dream Harbor series or something? Oh, yeah. It literally says in her little, like, bio right here, if you ever wished you lived in Stars Hollow or that Luke and Lorelai would just get together already, then her books are definitely for you. Okay, yeah, for sure. Because her freaking name is Lori Gilmore. I can't believe that is actually insane. Anyway, 3.75 for that. Let's move on to the next book. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little peeved. I stopped recording because my boyfriend was calling me, so I talked to him for a little bit. And then I had 2 more books left. Oh, I put them back over there and to talk about, and I yapped all the way through and wasn't recording a single second of it. So I have already talked about these books already, so I'm just gonna quickly, well, that's not fair because like I don't have any, I need to talk about them fully again for you guys because that's just not fair if I just like skim through this. So we're gonna do this again. At least I know kind of what to say, so that's nice. So here we are. The Right Move is the book after the Pumpkin Spice Cafe that I read, and I gave it a 4.25 out of 5. This follows Indy and Ryan is a NBA basketball player, and Indy is Ryan's twin sister's best friend from the first book, if you remember. And Indy catches her now ex-boyfriend, cheating on her after 6 years of being in a relationship, and she needs somewhere to live because obviously she's the one who got kicked out, even though he cheated on her, but you know, whatever. So where does she end up? With Ryan, and Ryan now has a roommate and Indy as the roommate, in fact, and she just brings a whole lot of color to Ryan's black and white life because all he can think about is basketball, which makes him super disciplined, but he also has that like soft emotional side that you see Indy kind of brings that out in him. Like he's one of those guys where like one of those book boyfriends that like pays attention to all the little details in the girl that he's interested in and like remembers all the small things that like that a normal person should remember, but like it's really special that he remembers because like no one else remember, like, you know, it's like one of those things, and Ryan does a really good job at that. I absolutely loved the Grumpy Sunshine aspect in here, and I love them as a couple. Their chemistry was great, their banter was great. There was a small like slow burn that I feel like was done just right, where you're like right when it starts like boiling up and you're like something needs to happen right now. Like everything was paced perfectly as it should be. Definitely a step up from Mile High in my opinion, and a lot of people love the other books in the series as well, like play along and rewind it back, and if I loved this book as much as I did, I cannot wait for those other books in the series. So I'm so excited for what else Miss Liz has in store for the Windy City series. Now another slow burn romance that I read but didn't like as much. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I gave it a 3.25. And you're like, what? Why did you do that? I didn't like it. To be quite frank, I am so sad that I did not like this as much as I thought I would. And I knew that Mariana loves her slow burns. Like, that's kind of what she's known for. And I knew that going into the book. I just did not expect it to be written the way that it was. So, what was the book filled with, you ask, if there was no romance going on? Because it was the slowest burn of the slowest burns I've ever read about in my entire life. Well, pretty much it was just that our main girl Vanessa and Aiden. Did I explain what this book is about? This follows Vanessa and Aiden is from Canada, and he comes to America to be in the pro football American Football League called it's called the NFL, but in the book it's called the NFO, I believe. And then his assistant Vanessa, who literally does everything for him, and Vanessa decides to quit, and then Aiden comes begging to take her back. And Vanessa's like, "You want me to do what?" And it follows pretty much that plot point the entire time, but all of that is interlaced with every other sentence talking about how huge Aiden is. And it was cute for the first like half of the book, and after that I'm like, okay, I think I get how huge this guy is. Like, he has his own, like, he needs clothes like made for him. Okay, like, I get it. I understand it. You don't have to remind me anymore. It's literally, his nickname is the Wall of Winnipegamy, which his character is like talking to a wall. I swear. It is so stoic, and like, I feel like I could count maybe on two hands, maybe three, all the answers or like any quotes that he had that had more than one word. I honestly think I could. There was no banter, there was no flirting, it was just monotone, yes, no. But when he did speak, I liked what came out of his mouth. Anyways, yeah, unfortunately, not as high of a rating as I thought it was going to be, but yeah, that's, if you've read other Mariana Zapata books, let me know which ones you've read and which ones you've liked, because I definitely do want to give her another chance. I feel it in my bones that I will like a book of hers. But those are the 5 books that I read in November. Make sure to give this video a like if you liked it, and comment down below your favorite read of November, or if you have any holiday book recs, please let me know, because I'm looking for some. Also, make sure to subscribe, so you can come back for more bookish content from me and maybe some holiday videos. Anybody? I'm not doing Bookmas. No, that's not happening at all for the foreseeable future. The links to all my social media are linked down below if you want to check them out, including my Goodreads and Fable. You can friend request me on Goodreads and I will accept your friend request, and you can follow me on Fable and I will follow you back on Fable so we can be book besties. And yeah, just don't be shy, hit the follow button. And that is all from me, and that's all for today's video, and I hope to see you guys in another one soon. All right, bye.